All right, welcome back in. 8:03 on a Wednesday. Gary and Matt, 1620 The Zone. Jimmy is here as well. 1 o'clock today, the Big Ten will release the conference schedule for 2025. I think Iowa and Nebraska are going to play in Memorial Stadium on Black Friday. That'd be my first prediction.
Wouldn't that be
interesting if true?
Next year?
2025?
Wait, say that again. I'm confused.
I know, it's hard to believe it's already going to be 2025.
We're in 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, if time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
The 2025 schedule will be announced today.
Okay.
At 1 o'clock.
Okay.
On your favorite Big Ten network.
Okay.
I'm just going to make a bold prediction. Iowa, Nebraska will be on Black Friday.
Oh, I was so...
We'll revisit this tomorrow to see if you're right.
If I'm right, Nebraska's home games are Northwestern, Michigan State, Michigan, and the Black Friday game against Iowa. Also, USC comes to Memorial Stadium. At Maryland, at Minnesota, at Penn State, at UCLA.
That's not bad at all.
So the placement of teams, I'm curious on the last road game, the road game before Iowa, if it is to the West Coast or the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go to Penn State, Maryland, or UCLA, like on a short week, even though it's at home.
Oh, you're asking,
coming back.
Yeah. You're curious about
then what is the first conference game?
So I'll make a bold prediction to you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Penn State, that game at Happy Valley, will be late in the year.
Ooh, another mid-November trip to State College where it's snowing?
I predict a late trip. Maybe not like week 10, but more so like week 8, week 9, Penn State. I mean, here's why. If Nebraska has a really good year, and that's Nebraska's ranked, or they're close to being ranked, that would be a game for Penn State that could potentially be a whiteout night game for them. Because what you have to think about is when Penn State plays the top teams in the Big Ten Conference, Big Noon grabs it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's not a night game. That's an 11 a.m. game because it's a really big deal. Nebraska has the potential to be good enough where it's an interesting matchup between Penn State and Nebraska, but it's not necessarily a marquee matchup between the two. So I would predict that they put that in the later portion of the schedule for the potential for it to be a night game.
So I'm looking at Penn State's schedule. They do play Oregon at home.
But that will be a Big Noon kickoff game.
So September 27th, that on FB schedules, it's already locked in. Their other home games are Indiana, Nebraska, and Northwestern.
I'm telling you right now, Oregon will be a Big Noon kickoff. So where's your whiteout game going to happen? And
maybe Indiana.
Well, you know what? I think what it'll come down to is who's better. Because Penn State doesn't like to play their whiteout games against a bum. They want to play. No, they don't.
Well, they got forced to this year against Washington.
Yeah,
but you're right.
But they like to play the whiteout game against a big opponent. They want that game to be a massive game. So I think that if Nebraska is good enough, like they have the potential to be good enough for that to be a big game. So I think the Big Ten will strategically say, hey, we'll put that later in the year because you're not going to have a Penn State whiteout game the first game of the Big Ten slate, right? That's typically later in the year or depending on when they play a big game.
I wonder why, and this may just be a mistake, that they already have a date for this game.
For Oregon, Penn State?
Yeah.
Maybe it's did Oregon and Penn State already have an agreement to play that game through Pac-12 Big Ten?
Possibly. That could be, that might be.
Was that a potential home and home?
Well, let me look at their schedule next year.
Yeah.
It still counts as a conference game. No.
Okay.
Because they're not on the schedule next year. So maybe that's just a mistake.
I don't know. Maybe
the
TV.
Today.
Well, look, I mean, Nebraska already has the well, those are weeks 1, 2, and 3, so that doesn't matter. That's a stupid statement. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. Maybe it's a typo. Is there a game that what's the game that you're most excited for at Memorial Stadium?
Michigan and USC.
You got to hope that one of those two teams are back to normal, right?
Okay, so let's say Michigan will be not maybe they won't be national championship. I think they're still probably 2 years away from being back in that conversation, but they will be one of the top 4 or 5 teams. Both of those teams should be.
They're going to lose some more. They're going to lose Mason Graham. They're going to lose Will Johnson. Not to say that they don't have guys in the fold.
They're about 2 years away from getting back to
where they were. I like Sharon more. I feel bad for that Bryce Underwood kid. I feel bad for him
because he got a lot of money.
I feel bad for him because
bad for people to get money,
and people were like clowning Brian Kelly about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that kid wanted to go to LSU. Like he wanted to play for the Tigers, and Brian Kelly was like, those two guys. They lost a cornerback too. It was like those two guys wanted to play here, but they didn't have much of a decision. Like if you're Bryce Underwood, you cannot say no to $10 million.
Oh, absolutely.
But those Michigan men and women, you don't like, they're proud and they're all happy that they paid this kid $10 million. But I'll tell you this right now. If he has, Dylan Raiola was the best true freshman quarterback this year. And some would argue that he was an average to maybe even slightly below average quarterback, his play.
Just fine.
He was fine. He was an average quarterback. That's fine. Hey, no clowning on Dylan. I think he's going to be incredible. I think he's going to be a draft pick. I'm excited to see the jump that he takes with Dana next year. I want to put that out there. But it's hard. It's really hard for true freshmen to play quarterback in any sort of league, period. Mm-hmm. It's just a faster, different game. Every game you play is the hardest game that you've ever played of your entire life, okay? That kid, if he plays at the level of Dylan Raiola next year, there are going to be some people who are really upset. There are going to be some donors and fans who are going to have the pitchforks out for him because he's getting paid.
The same is here.
The same is here because there are incredibly high expectations. So I feel bad for that kid because he could play at the level of the best true freshman quarterback in the country, and it still won't be good enough.
He just needs to have a Chad Henne freshman year. Chad Henne had a serviceable freshman year at Michigan.
I think Dylan had a serviceable freshman year here at Nebraska.
I say he was just fine, but next year Nebraska needs him to be more than just fine. And if you follow the path, there's more than likely he will be that.
You and I have talked about it mainly off the air ad nauseum. There are plays that he didn't make that if he made, they would have won games, and we would be looking at him as a good quarterback and not a fine quarterback.
He was also hampered by his offensive coordinator.
Yes, but I will say this, like the throw to Lyndon Meyer against Illinois, you got to make that. And the throw to Banks against Ohio State, you got to make that.
The throw to Fedoni. I mean, you could go through a list. There's personal responsibility, and then there is putting someone in a position to be successful.
Totally agree.
So they go hand in hand, but Nebraska didn't pay to just have just fine.
I agree.
And I don't think he'd want to be just fine. The thing that will be fascinating about Dylan moving forward is how he grows with Dana Holgorsen, what they do in working on the mechanics of him being a NFL-type quarterback in terms of footwork, mind, all of those things, is he wants to be coached hard.
Yeah.
Okay?
He was raised by Dominic. Of course he does.
But that's a two-way street. Let's coach him hard, and let's praise him when he is good, and let's also not be afraid to criticize and hold him accountable. And I think there's a buffer there with Rule. I think Rule walks down a very tight rope of what publicly to say about Dylan. And I don't know if that has to do with just the whole Dylan experience. But the kid wants to be coached hard. He wants to get to the NFL. He wants to use Nebraska to get to the NFL and help Nebraska win. So he wants to be coached hard. Let's treat him and coach him hard. Praise him. And if not, let's be okay to call him out. Like we are not afraid to. But if you're his head coach, you know what? You can't pick and choose. You can't play favorites. What do we have this year when we're hearing stories about, well, guy played favorites. That's the guy who wanted to play. No. If you're good, you play. All right? And if you're not good, you know what? It's okay to say, wasn't good today. We need a better quarterback. We need better quarterback play.
Gare.
Matt.
Get used to it.
Well,
this is college football forever in its entirety. until
No, not forever. You mean moving forward?
moving forward.
Okay.
That you're going to have to walk a very fine line with certain guys.
Which sucks because you're going to be afraid the kid's going to transfer. Which I know what you're saying.
That's what it is now. That's what it is. Why? Like, we talked about it. Okay. This is going to be a little bit too long, but I don't care. It's a really good point, and it's something that I've said a lot. It's a little bit of a sermon. But, like, the biggest problem, I'm glad that NIL exists. I'm glad that kids are getting paid what they need to get paid. They've made so much money for the NCAA, and the NCAA has just grabbed it hand over fist and never gave anything back to them and gave them terrible situations at times to deal with. I'm worried, though, about the fact that there are going to be players who are in love with the program, who are like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. And you used to go to places for two reasons: to win national championships, to win games, or this is where I'm going to play, and I need to become a better football player in order to reach my dreams of being in the NFL. And so that's why you committed. You committed because this is the program that is going to do the absolute best for me, that I need to be. Now that NIL exists, you don't have that anymore. So you're going to have players who are not going to reach their potential. You're going to have players who are not going to be the best they possibly can be, which means you're going to have teams that are not going to be the best that they can possibly be, which means you're going to have a product that is not going to be the best it can possibly be. And this is the problem that we now run into, where we have to now, as coaches and as teams, and I'm speaking on behalf of college football, play freshmen who are highly talented and highly regarded because we're afraid that they're going to go somewhere else next year, even though they're not ready. Even though they have not proven that they are ready to play the game, even though they have not come up through our system like the other guys who probably deserve to play more than they do, we have to play them out of fear that they will leave. Because if they leave, we lose. And if we lose our jobs. That's where we are now in NIL.
Which sucks.
It's
Because
terrible.
it hamstrings your program.
It hamstrings everybody. It hamstrings the coaches. It hamstrings the athletic department. It hamstrings donors. And most of all, it hamstrings young men who have dreams and aspirations that may not be achieved because they are chasing money. And do you blame them for chasing money? No, because that's what our society runs on. You got to make your bag. You got to make a living. You got to put yourself in the right position because football isn't everything. You're not going to be playing football forever. The NFL stands for not for long. So you have to take this advantage.
Said this.
You have to take advantage of it while you got it. But it's hamstringing everything else that made this game better.
With that said, Nebraska still needs a portal quarterback. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't trust in Double H?
Well, if you're going to transition him to not a half and half quarterback,
I think they should just rip the Band-Aid off and make that guy.
But I like competition, and I think competition will make that room better. And if I'm the leader of that room, I want more guys coming after my job.
Heinrich Harvard.
Because you're gonna have a young freshman coming from California that I think is the heir apparent, but he should be able to compete for a job. And you shouldn't have to pass it down the chain of, hey, we're pursuing this guy. Which, by the way, Chubba Purdy took his name out of the portal, going to stay at Nevada. Okay.
Heinrich, top 5 athlete on the team, you think?
Pretty close.
He's there. I mean, is he going to beat Dylan out for the job?
No, he's not.
I know that some people have scoffed at this take. You're in a program that needs athletes, that needs guys who can run, who are big, who can jump. I know that maybe him and his family don't want him to play another position than quarterback, but I think it would benefit not only the program and the offense, but it would benefit Heinrich.
Oh, long term, definitely.
Well, also too, let's be honest here, and like he could play any position on the field, offense or defense. D-line. Let's remove D-line and O-line.
Okay.
Any skill position. He could be a good linebacker. He could be a good safety. Probably not a corner. He could be a really good tight end. Like he could play a lot of. He's athletic enough to play a lot of different places.
I would keep him on the offense side of the ball. I don't know about
it's a little too
straight
late.
line.
It's
speed,
a little too late. It's a little too late.
But the tight end, H-back, have more options when your eligibility is over for the NFL. Certainly,
he's a fine quarterback, but I think I I agree with you. Like, they would benefit if they got a transfer quarterback who is a legitimate backup. Hey, you're going to back up, older guy, veteran,
But is
and then
a threat.
is a
It
threat.
has to be a consider because I don't think Dylan thinks Herbert is a threat.
And Heinrich just goes and plays H-back or goes and plays tight end or, maybe gets a Janier and Bonner role where he kind of just runs around and does everything. Which, talking about Bonner, I'd like to see him get the ball more.
Do we need to see him say I'm coming back? I'm marking off guys that I'm pretty sure they're coming back, but they go to social media and say
Did
they're
you see
coming
that
back.
question at the Pinstripe Bowl press conference is like, is Dylan going to play? What a Boston guy. Just absolutely clueless.
Yeah, that was an interesting presser. The technology was not the greatest from the Pinstripe side.
No, it wasn't. Did you listen to the whole thing?
I listened to the conversation that you cut up that we'll play when we come back.
Yeah.
And then I listened to Rule. That is a city that he is very excited to go back to.
So I was going to say, find you a partner in life that loves you as much as Matt Rule likes New York. Was he getting sponsored by Trivago? What the hell was that? I mean, he was selling out for how much he loved New York. Which, by the way,
good on him. He gets to go home.
Can we talk about the Pinstripe Bowl itinerary for a second? It's really bipolar in terms of, okay, they're going to go to the Christmas tree, right? Which is overrated, by the way. But you go to the Christmas tree, you see the big Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. Hey, it's real beautiful. It's nice. Merry Christmas.
It's a better Christmas tree than going to the state capitol.
Yeah. Oh, sure. It's cool. Fine. You go there, you watch it. Then
you see people ice skating down below.
You go to Radio City Music Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a great time with the Rockettes. You see the Rockettes, Rockette, right? What a time to be alive. Radio City. I can't believe they haven't gotten canceled yet, frankly. Okay? Rockettes.
That the Rockettes?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're the prettiest women in New York, with short skirts and they're, flailing their legs around. You think that would get canceled by now?
I mean, there's some other ladies in Times Square like that.
Anyway.
The Naked Cowboy would be closer to getting canceled than the Rockettes. The Rockettes are New York City. You want to cancel the Rockettes?
No, I'm not saying to cancel the Rockettes. So then you go to the Rockettes.
What do you have with pretty women that are dancers that have great leg kicks?
It's
in high
heels.
It's
just really funny to me how you go from the tree and to the Rockettes to the next thing they're going to do is go to the 9/11 memorial. And
fair.
That is that's a change
but
up,
man. It is so.
Oh, it's so iconic. You have to do it. You have to go.
It's so you're not from here.
Yeah.
And you may only come to New York City once in your lifetime.
Yeah.
So you're going to hit the key things in Christmas time.
And it's so important for that team with a lot of guys like myself who were born after that happened to recognize how important that was.
Jimmy.
I know.
What the?
I know.
It's just really important for those guys and that team and guys like me.
He was born after 9/11.
Mm-hmm. He didn't see Eric Crouch truck that dude from Mizzou.
Yeah, I was. I was born.
It's awesome. It's
I was born
yards.
5 months later. It's really important for them to go to that memorial and recognize the importance of it. I just question the just switch up from the Rockettes to the 9/11 memorial.
Now, to be fair, it's not in the same day, right?
I mean, I don't know. I had no clue. Do the Rockettes have a matinee? I have no idea. I mean, it's just it's like
and they're ringing the bell. The captain's ringing the bell.
Yeah. So then you go from that to that.
It is the most touristy itinerary that you can have if you are from the state of Nebraska.
Going from the Rockettes to then the 9/11 memorial is like you face a Randy Johnson fastball, then they pull him out and they bring in Maddox and he throws his changeup. That's the change of pace you're working with there.
If you had to choose, what would you go to first?
Pizza place. I go to John's on Bleecker.
Hey, there we go.
I was saying between the memorial and the Rockettes.
Oh, I'd go to the memorial.
Banger of a pizza place, but you got to wait.
I'm gonna go to Joe's.
You got about a 45-minute wait at the key times if you're going there.
I'm gonna go to Joe's. I literally at some point in my life I'm going to go, and I might go on my own. I'm just gonna go to New York and go to New Haven, and I'm just gonna do a pizza. I'm just gonna do a pizza run, just 4 days. I'm being serious. I have all the spots already planned.
People don't understand how great New Haven style pizza is.
Oh my God. The crispiness of it is incredible. And it's I've never had it, but you just see it. I've had New Haven style, but you have New Haven style and it's not the same. You got to go to New Haven.
Yeah. If you're in Waukee, Iowa, it doesn't taste the same as being in New Haven, Connecticut.
No. And it's like all about the sauce and like, I mean, it's just great. I will at some point in my life,
Man, I
I will
love the
go
pizza talk on the show.
to
It's
New
great.
York and I will do a 4-day pizza run. And I'll hit John's, I'll hit Joe's,
Domino's, Papa John's.
There's
Garlic sauce.
Sal's. There's
Home
this
Run.
the Dave Portnoy like One Bite like app where
The guy from Barstool?
Yeah, like he ranks all those. Like, yeah. He's controversial, but he's a pizza guy. I like his pizza recommendations. So yeah. Anyway, New York. Have you gone
By the way,
to
Matt,
New York?
Yes.
Your recommendation from yesterday had a friend text me, said, hell yes.
What
Your
recommendation?
Chicago pizza recommendation.
Pequot's.
Yeah, did my research. I'm sold.
Got to get the pepperoni at Pequot's. Got to get the pep.
My dad is from New York City.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, Westchester County.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Bougie.
Bougie.
Grandpa and Grandma had nice.
Little dough.
Yeah.
Little dough running around. That's why he's
Yeah.
got the St. Petersburg house in Florida. That's why it wasn't because of the radio.